Hey, how's it going today? I just wanted to do a quick video on transitioning between LightWave and 3D code. I did a video earlier about this, but that process was a little bit more automated, and I thought it'd be better to do it showing how it would work in a manual process without a plugin again. So this is kind of a follow-up to the last video I did. So anyway, this won't take too long. First, you're going to go in, we're in Modeler, and I'm just going to build an object here. So I'm not going to load, I'll be on create, I'm just going to make a box. Oops, gotta be on the box first. And I'm just gonna click and just hit F2 and center it. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna come down here to edge, and I'm just going to enter to drop the tool, now on the edge tool, and then the right bracket to select everything. And then I'm just gonna deselect the side points right here. Yeah, see, I want to make a little bit more interesting box than this. Can't quite get that. There you go. And we'll just click that. Okay. And then we're just going to come over here to multiply, and we're going to go to the chamfer tool. And I'm just going to, with my mouse, I'm just clicking and dragging to the right to make some edges there. And then enter to drop the tool, and then spacebar to deselect. And then we just got basically kind of a little bit cooler looking box. Okay. Then we're just going to go File, Save. File, save, export. We're not going to save actually. We have to save this as a LightWave 2015 object. It doesn't appear that 3D code is recognizing current LightWave objects, which is unfortunate. So I'm just going to call this box test 4. There we go. And I'm just going to go save. Okay. And then I'm just going to jump over into 3D code. Let's see, 3D code. What we'll do is we're going to come in here and go import model, and we're just going to bring in that box test 4 that we did. Now here the thing is, you just want to have the UV map typing on auto mapping, and we can leave everything else on the default and just bring the box in. And then these controls are pretty easy. Right mouse button, you can zoom in and out. With your left mouse button, you can kind of rotate around wherever you are there. And there's our box, nothing fancy. And then what's cool is let's going to go over here to the UV room. And what's really great about 3D code is it's automatically unwrapped this thing. And so it's fantastic. And usually it does a pretty good job. So all we want to do is just make sure we click over here to apply UV set, that, and go OK. And then we're going to jump back over into the paint room. And then we're going to just do this as my standby. Go to airbrush over here that I like. Come on. Pencil tool, airbrush. Okay. And then I'm just going to paint some of this. I'm not going to paint the whole thing, but I'm going to go ahead and paint this. If I turn with my scroll wheel, I can make the effect a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to paint along here. I noticed for some reason when I'm painting on here with it as a LightWave object, I'm getting a little bit more of these kind of streaks or more rigid pattern. That's fine. It's just I just noticed a little difference between that and just a regular object that I bring in. But it's cool. It looks cool either way. I think it looks cool. And this is a lot cooler than certainly anything that I could paint inside of LightWave. So this is really great. And then what I'm going to do is when I'm done with that, I'm going to go File and Export. We want to make sure Export Geometry is on. We want to make sure Export UV Set as Tiles is on. And then we want to make sure that PBR Metalness is on. And then we just go OK. And then we'll just save this out as a box text for B, and go save. And then we're done there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to jump back over into Modeler, and I'm just going to close out of this, and I'm just going to go load object, and I'm just going to load in this one right there, box test 4B, and go okay. Now there's our box, everything's great. Now you notice there's no UV map here. So all we got to do is come down here to the bottom here and select default. And there's our UV unwrap there. and everything's already saved. So all we have to do now is just jump in, send objects over to layout, and there's our box. Now we got a little bit of a mess going on here. If we go into the surface editor, not everything kind of comes over quite right. So there's just some adjustments you got to make. So we're going to switch our material standard, and we're just going to switch that to principled BSDF, and that looks better already. And then if we go into the edit node graph, we see we got kind of this jumble going on over here. But one thing that is good, I can delete this right here. But one thing is our normal map came in, and interestingly it came in inverted on the Y already. So everything there looks correct. Then what we got to do is we got to go image here, click here and bring in our image. And what we're going to do is double click, and we're going to set this to UV map and set it to default. Okay, and then we're going to go right click and copy this and go Control V and copy it 3 times. And then what we'll do is if I double click on this first one, load images, I can see that it already brought in our textures. It brought in at least 3 of them, 4 of them, I guess. Well, you got your color, your roughness, your bump, and the normal map, which is already hooked up. So I'm just going to go albedo here, and we're just going to put and close this, and then put color into color. And then I'll come in here, and I'm going to select roughness, and then the roughness is going to be luma to the roughness. And then the last one is going to be our bump map, bump, and the bump is going to go into the bump, just like that. Now if we slide over here and take a look, we can see that our textures came in pretty well. So let me go into VPR and take a closer look. Now as you can see, that's a little that's a little extreme, right? So that looks almost like concrete. So all we have to do for some of this is just come in and dial down some of this stuff. So if we come into, let's see, let's try bump here. We can really get over here. I hope this doesn't crash on me, but let's see. This is gonna have to come way down, I'm sure. But you can bring it down, and then it looks not far from what we were seeing and then I think the roughness, we can do the same thing if we, this is a roughness, right? Let's see, close this one. Yeah, this is a roughness. So you could just dial some of these down if they're a little bit, a little much. And so it's a little bit more subtle of an effect. Let me bring that way down here. And it doesn't seem like it was that rough in 3D Code. So I'm wondering if the bump has to come down even more. And I tried taking this off of the invert Y, but does that make it better or worse? I think it's right on the invert Y coming in like that. So my guess is, I'm thinking that the bump is, what happens if I just pull the bump off completely here? There's a lot of noise going on tonight for some reason. Yeah, so anyway, you can play around with those settings. I think with the bump, is that the rough? You can really bring it down, and so it's a lot more subtle. But if I come in here and I look at what we had in 3D Code, it's pretty similar. Yeah, it's very similar to what we had there. So that's can at least get you started, and you can play around with the settings and things like that. But this is one way that you can go between LightWave and 3D Code and bring in your UV maps as well. You just have to make a couple of those settings. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Take care and have a great day.